Sally, you've just been working on a project funded by eSTEeM called Gender Differences in Completion and Credit Obtained in Level 2 Study in Physical Sciences. Now, we'll go on to talk about that in a minute, but before then, you've got a bit of a backstory with eSTEeM, haven't you?
Yes, I have. I had teaching fellowships with two of the Centres for Excellence in Teaching and Learning, the CETLs, back more than 10 years ago now, and it was those that led to the formation of eSTEeM. It was reckoned that a scholarship centre like that was a good thing to do. So I was involved right at the beginning, and I've been involved in a number of projects through the lifetime of eSTEeM. I think probably the most significant one that's completed was one which was investigating the use of formative threshold assessment, and particularly the impact of the use of that sort of assessment on our students.
Hang on, formative threshold assessment,
Yes.
You're going to have to tell me what that is.
Okay, right, so it's assessment that the mark doesn't count towards a student's overall grade, so it's formative in that sense. But it has a threshold, and the reason it has a threshold, and that means that students need to get more than a very low threshold in order to pass, essentially. Low as in about 30%. And the idea is, because it's formative, students can relax. They don't need to worry about their mark, they can learn from the feedback, they can engage with assessment as a learning process. But because there's the threshold, it encourages them to engage, and basically it appears to be very successful.
So that's a couple of projects. How would you say, though, that eSTEeM has helped you in your research, or personally, if you like?
I consider myself to be a physics education researcher, and I always feel that for me, what you might call scholarship, or what you might call research, and what you might call teaching, in fact, they all kind of interrelate. The boundaries are very fuzzy. I'm passionate about getting it right for students, but on making decisions that are based on real evidence, if you like. And as you can imagine, eSTEeM's helped me hugely in that. It's helped me financially, it's helped me in lots of practical ways, and it's helped me with lots of encouragement. Those things combined have enabled me to go to conferences, they've enabled me to write papers, and a particular thing that's of relevance for the project that we're going to be talking about in a minute is that eSTEeM actually paid for us to have a visiting researcher called Hilary from Canada, who was with us for 2 months. And we couldn't have had her over without eSTEeM. We needed to be able to pay for her to come, obviously. And that was good for her, but it was also good for me because I'm now head of the School of Physical Sciences, and that means I don't get very much time to do a lot of the things. And we had a load of data that needed analysing. She wanted the experience. She was able to come to do the work. She put in a poster to the eSTEeM conference. It won the poster prize, so we were obviously pleased about that. And she's also submitted a paper on the work to a leading physics education research journal. So we're just waiting to hear whether that's been accepted or not.
What did Hilary find out?
Okay, she found that men do slightly better than women on most questions, but the difference actually was smallest on the multiple choice questions. In other words, multiple choice questions, or at least the ones that module team are asking, just not a problem. She then looked at the scaffolding idea. There she found that if you compare two questions that are otherwise the same, it may be that scaffolding is having an impact, but that there were other bigger factors at play as well. And the really significant thing that she found was that we found 3 particular questions where there was a huge difference between men and women. And each of those had got a really complicated diagram that students needed to interpret before they were able to go on and do the question. So what we're looking at the moment is whether it might just be the presence of that diagram and the fact that female students are less able to interpret it in some way, that might be causing the problem. So I think I should probably emphasise that this is just part of a bigger piece of work that's ongoing.
Sally, thank you very much. I shall come back and speak to you when you've got more results.
Thank you, Janet. Thank you very much.